Well, the Mustangs have another commit in the class of 2027, and this time, it's wide receiver Trey Haralson.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Bonus episode of Locked On SMU, and of course we got to do it when the Mustangs get a weekend commit. I'm Grayson Singleton, so glad you're joining us for this weekend edition of Locked On SMU, and that's right, Trey Haralson, four-star wide receiver from Tyler, Texas, is on board in the Mustangs class of 2027. He announced this commitment. It's very interesting. This is why I'm glad I go through Twitter in between my sets, because I'm at the gym not early this morning, but late morning, early afternoon, and I see the Hayes Fawcett tweet about 20 minutes after he sent it out that Trey Haralson had committed to SMU. You guys saw the retweet that I did, and now we come home and we record an episode because the Mustangs have their fourth commit in the 2027 cycle as Haralson joins Quay Ford, Malachi Ziegler, and Amari Vickerson as the four currently committed Mustangs in the 2027 cycle. Now, this class is shaping up to be a very interesting one because if you remember from last year, we celebrated that 2026 class. It was SMU's highest rated class ever. They had the most four stars they've ever signed in a given class ever. And they had two guys in the Rivals Top 250. Pretty good. Obviously headlined by Christian Rhodes and followed by, this name is slipping my mind, followed by Drew Evers. Christian Rhodes was the number 168 player. Drew Evers was the number 213 player. So they finished the last year's cycle with two players in the Rivals 250. With Trey Haralson on board now, the Mustangs now have two players in the Rivals Top 250 in 2027, and we're not even to official visit season yet. As a matter of fact, not only do they have those two players in the Rivals Top 250, Malachi Ziegler is player 254. So just on the outside looking in. So in terms of the top 300 players, SMU is likely going to finish, and I don't expect either of those three to go anywhere. If there's anyone that I would expect to go anywhere, or that I would think like, hey, you might want to watch if he flips his commitment, my guess is it would be Quay Ford. But Malachi Ziegler ain't going anywhere. I don't get the sense that Trey Haralson is even thinking about entertaining going anywhere. And I don't even get the sense that Quay Ford is either. But if I had to pick one, that probably would be one that you might have to okay, if we get to official visit season, whatnot. If I had to pick one. That's a big hypothetical. But the reality of the situation is three players in the Rivals Top 300. Two that are squarely in the top 250. One that, given his senior tape, could make a jump into the 250 once the cycle is concluded. SMU continues to build upon what they did last year. And they're continuing to build upon their success that they've had in the Power Four. Also worth noting as well, the Mustangs are now 13th in the class of 2027, just a shade ahead of Texas, who is 14th. They also are the second highest rated recruiting class in the ACC, only bested by Miami, who I believe is in the top 10, maybe the top 5. Miami's 6. Okay. Miami is 6, just behind Texas Tech. Is there any more proof the Mustangs are here to stay? I mean, they win games. They seem like they build a team the right way. That would say they're a Power 4 contender. And now they're recruiting amongst the Power 4's best. Anybody disagree with me that they're here to stay? I think so. Look at the offer sheet for Trey Haralson, who SMU got committed a couple hours ago. Tennessee, Ole Miss, and he said, nah, I like SMU. Hats off to Rob Likens and Kyle Cooper, who really were the instrumental pieces to getting Trey Haralson on board. And I think the Mustangs continue to prove and to give us more and more fodder to assert that this is going to be a Power 4 team that is going to be continuing to compete around the ACC championship conversation. And as the playoff keeps expanding, I think SMU is going to be a part of that. One other thing of note. How high can this class be? And I've gotten the sense, reading some reporting and looking at some of the ages that are on this roster, I don't know if this class ends up being a top 15 class. Here's the reason why. I don't expect them to take a lot of people. And quality and quantity are both weighed, albeit not necessarily equally, but they are both weighed into how you end up being ranked. And while the Mustangs, I think, will continue to get really good players, they could land one or two more 4 stars. We don't know. But I don't get the sense that they're going to take a crap load of people. Like, if you look at the top of the leaderboard right now, in the top, let's just say top 5 of the 2027 class, you have Texas A&M, who has 11 commits as the number 1 class, according to Rivals, just a shade above Oklahoma, who's got 20 commits. And Ohio State has 9 commits and has really started to catch fire, as does USC. I don't think SMU is going to take over 20 kids. Ohio State and USC will continue to take more. So will Texas A&M. So the quantity is something that you have to monitor when it comes to stuff like this. And I don't think SMU is going to take a large class, especially, by the way, a wide receiver. Trey Haralson could be one of 2 wide receivers that SMU takes in this class because of the litany of young receivers that are on this roster. You look at sophomores, Jalen Cooper, Isaiah Robertson, Carterius Brown, and then you go to last year's cycle with Ja'Kai Anderson, Alger Miles, Ty Crethers. So they've taken a decent amount of wide receivers recently to where this, I think, could be the cycle where you don't see a lot of them in this particular class. So that's my guess. Do I think SMU can finish with a top 20 class? Yes. I think it would be around the 17 to 19 type of range that way. 15, maybe, but any higher than that, I think the fact that SMU doesn't intend to take a big class is going to go not in their favor in terms of the Rivals rankings. And by the way, that's okay. There's going to be no need to panic over that. There's going to be no need for hard feelings about that. They'll be just fine. All right, coming up next, one other note I wanted to get into in this Saturday episode is there are some reports out there about the big man market in the college basketball transfer portal. Spoiler alert, it is bananas. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who know, the score never tells the whole story. There's more to these players than the highlights, the early mornings, late night runs, constantly showing up for their squad on and off the court. And the player I'm going to highlight today is my GOAT, LeBron James. And Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, they've been missing for quite some time. And all LeBron does is turn back the clocks 5 years, averaging 28 and 13 ever since those two went out of the lineup. So, continuing to move the game forward, the Lakers can still get the 3 seed in the Western Conference. And if y'all don't know me, y'all know I'm a huge NBA fan as well. So, gotta throw that in there a little bit. The all-new Mazda CX-5 moves the same way, with more space to connect, a bold new design, and more intuitive technology, so you can stay connected to the road and every position you play. The all-new Mazda CX-5, more to move every side of you. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real TurboTax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and to book your appointment. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, and location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time talking to these people. It's less stress, less time, with more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, welcome back to this weekend episode of Locked On SMU. One other thing I wanted to get into outside of the Trey Haralson commitment is this big man market. And obviously SMU, at the time of this recording, has not made an addition in the transfer portal just yet. Terrence Brown does not look like it's going to be a match there. He is on his way to visit North Carolina, as we expected. I told you guys that in the Friday edition, he was, the one name that I had been consistently hearing was North Carolina for Terrence Brown. So doesn't look like that's going to be a fit there. But SMU still has a need for a big man. And a couple of days ago, when Samet Igutolu jumped into the transfer portal, I told you Samet Igutolu was going to get paid. And there was no better vindication for that take than this article that I saw earlier today from CBS Sports. And that is, the title of it is, "Somebody, Not Kansas, Will Pay Flory Badunga $5 million to stay in school. That will reset the big man market." So Flory Badunga averaged 13 points and 9 rebounds a game for the Jayhawks and is a projected first-round pick. Now, he is in the portal. He'll test the draft waters. But listen to this. If Badunga stayed in the draft and ended up being somewhere around a late first-round pick, his salary would be about $2.3 million, according to CBS Sports. Somebody's going to pay him double in college basketball for that. So Flory Badunga, who is a guy that, based on his skill set, I believe should stay in school, is going to get paid. Now, that highlights the big man market, because the big man market now is going to be reset. And SMU is one of the teams in the need of a big man, and a quality one at that. So the Mustangs, equipped with a nice array of resources and whatnot, the Mustangs are not going to be a team that is like, oh crap, where are we going to find this money to get a quality big man? No, SMU, if they want to pay, is going to pay it, and they will be able to. But when you look at that Flory Badunga number, it's not out of the realm of possibility that if SMU is going to get a quality center, they're going to pay upwards of $2.5 million. That's where we are now. And hey, look, all good and fine. We all like capitalism, so that's how this whole thing is going to go. But when you see that Samet Igutolu jumps in the portal, he did not jump in the portal for no reason. He's 7'2", 265, 270 pounds. Houston's in the market for him. Texas Tech's in the market for him. Texas Tech has probably the most endless amount of money stream in all of the country. Samet Igutolu, if I told you today Samet Igutolu is going to get minimum $1.8 million, and you juxtapose that with the Flory Badunga report that I just gave you, it all of a sudden doesn't seem that far-fetched, does it? And if SMU wants to get a big man that is better than Samet Igutolu, which I believe a lot of us would like them to do, the Mustangs are going to pay about $2.5 million for whoever that is, for his services. So that is why some of these things and some of these portal happenings are going to take a little bit of time. Because you got to figure out, okay, who is the dude that we want? Oh, and by the way, do we want to pay him this absurd amount of money? So that's why this stuff is going to take time. And I'm not going to panic with the fact that SMU has not added a player just yet. Like, if you think about it, sure, you're seeing news of players going here, there, like Day-Day Ames committed to Tennessee, JP Estrella went to Michigan. Michigan's got deals in place to keep Elliott Cadeau and Trey McKinney around. PJ Haggerty went from Kansas State to Texas A&M, right? Like, you're seeing some things take shape. But a lot of this, remember this, man, like a lot of this is gonna take time. The transfer portal is open for 2 weeks. So there are still going to be players that are coaxed into the portal that their agents are going to peek around and say, hey, you could make this much more money on the open market, and they're going to jump in the portal. So even the players that we know are in the portal right now are not, like, you don't have the whole availability of all the players that are going to come open this cycle. So when it comes to SMU, hang in there. It's going to be a slow burn, but they will cobble together a roster and compile a roster. But it's going to take a while, and it's going to be expensive, especially on the interior where the Mustangs certainly are looking to get better because Sumet is not there anymore. Sure, you'd like to have Jaden Toombs, and again, no news is good news when it comes to Jaden Toombs, but you need really two more. You need two more big men to really feel good about where you are heading into next season. So slow burn, expensive one at that, but I think it's going to be okay. But that big man market, sheesh, man, Flory Badunga is getting $5 million, double what he would make as a late first round NBA draft pick. SMU better be ready to shell out some dollars, man, because holy smokes. I don't even think we're ever going to get here in college basketball. All right, that'll do it for Locked On SMU here on this Saturday edition. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this weekend episode. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Peace.